A new season brings new change, new cars, and new tracks to iRacing, but for Open Wheels fans, it's the introduction of 4 new series that maybe excites them most. Welcome to RaceSpotTV and coverage of the FIA Formula 4 Esports Regional Tour, kicking off with the Europe South region. Delighted to have you along, everyone, for what is bound to be an exciting 12 weeks of coverage as we bandy around the world and catch what might be an up-and-coming band of drivers, not just in the virtual world, but potentially in the real worlds as well. My name is Arjuna Kankipati, joined alongside for the first round of the season by Lorenzo Bonder. And Lorenzo, we were just chatting before we got underway. Exciting times for drivers in this Formula 4 machine as the FIA now officially licensed with iRacing, and they get an official championship with limited time slots to go racing in.
Absolutely, and I love this combo to begin. One of our regions here for the FIA Formula 4 with one of the best cars in the service. Monza is a qualifying based track where also whenever you actually get good qualifying doesn't mean you're going to get a really good result, because you got a lot of drafts. So this is like a really good combo for us to start with a lot of overtakes, but also lots of dangers for us to go on, not just on lap 1, but then laps forward.
Of course, we're taking a look at the old banked oval where, yes, you can still run on iRacing. These cars maybe not designed to head over there. Like I mentioned earlier, 4 regions and limited time slots. America's, Asia Pacific, and then Europe split into the North and South regions. That is mostly time zone, but also track restrictions. It's not actually going to geographically stop anyone from America entering into an Asia Pacific race. It's more just to give distinct times, 7, 9, and 11 p.m. local. That's the window, Lorenzo. Wednesday and Thursday, you know you'll go racing, and we've seen today in the first couple of hours of competition an incredible turnout already.
Yeah, I was looking before we even started the broadcast, there were like more than 100 signups for this time slot per se. So if this is basically the standard moving forward, we are due to have a really good, not just show up, not just on this time slot, but all other time slots in all other regions as well.
It's open to anyone with a non-rookie license, so basically join iRacing, get out of those beginning couple of stages, just do a couple of races and stay out of trouble, and you're immediately eligible to be racing in this FIA F4 Esports Regional Tour. Would not necessarily recommend that though, because it means you have an awful lot potentially of tracks to buy. Here's a look at the 12 weeks that the drivers in the South region of Europe will find themselves running around. Monza to start things off, Jerez to close things out. A couple of interesting things, Lorenzo, are the fact that we visit a couple of tracks multiple times, but with slightly different layouts.
Yeah, and that layout it's quite unique for us to see. The national layout is not used often. It is used on the, whenever you are in the juniors inside Spain, but being used that in F4 per se for a championship like this is quite new for us in the broadcast booth, so it's going to be quite interesting for us to tackle a layout that is not normally used, but it's a good mix of tracks here in the southern part of Europe.
Yeah, I think we are looking forward to that for sure. It's going to be a lot of fun to see how the drivers get themselves on over the course of the season. Let's not forget that this is just in this region, like I was mentioning slightly earlier. The fact that we have the 4 different regions means that we break them up slightly into, I think, what is a rather interesting set of distinct operations. You mentioned qualifying earlier, Lorenzo. They get a solo attempt at qualifying. That means the track to themselves and 2 attempts to go around. They're underway right now. What's that pressure going to be like in these machines?
Tremendous, because qualifying in Monza, it's important. You have to be, if you really want to contend, at least top 8, and even at top 8, it's like things can change, because you have the Rettifilio chicane, you have the De La Roja chicane, which they're basically 90-degree turns. They invite for dive bombs, so being at the front, immediately top 2 is going to be essential for you to have a very, very chill race, but I'm not going to say that chill because, like I said before, draft is king here whenever we go race time.
Yeah, let's be honest, chill is probably relative at the end of the day when you come to a place like Monza, when the draft is going to be such a strong factor. Alex Dunn, we mentioned earlier, we're going to see drivers with both real-world and sim experience out there on the track. Alex Dunn competing in GB3 in 2023, but also the British F4 2022 champion. He very much epitomizes that sort of real virtual to real pipeline that we often talk about, and will be one to watch for sure here today. Here comes the number 5 machine, Fraz Inetti, who's going to run his way to the line. Let's see what time he'll be able to put in.
Yeah, and like you said before, I like this mixture of, you know, the young generation, the new generation, the old generation, June, as he does the 9th time, right? You see a lot of guys that are up-and-comers on karting, like Andy Rattel. Alex Dunn is the current leader in GB3, so you have guys that have real-life experience with people that are majorly on sim racing, like I said before, like I think Andre Martins and things like that. So I like this mixture, and you can see and measure yourself against guys that does this for real, you know.
Absolutely. I think that's the cool thing. And we've got a pretty strong field here. The lowest I rating, 3,700. There are a couple of drivers with D licenses in there, though, just to go and show that you don't have to be at the very top of iRacing competing in the GTs and those sort of machines, but you can be in some of the lower power cars as well, such as this FIA Formula 4. Standing start, turn number 1. Lorenzo, what are your expectations as qualifying gets set to be drawn to a close in the field? A second splits 20 cars.
20 cars. I would be on split 2. I would be right, I think, at the top numbers of split 2. Thank God I'm not doing this. But coming back, turn number 1. Ooh, we know some people like to be aggressive on turn 1, especially with these cars, but they have to be mindful. You get one chance over here. You might say, oh, other time slots, but no, you have to be conservative on turn number 1. Maintain your car. You're probably going to see maybe some tree wide coming before the De La Raja chicane, but we'll see how it goes.
Let's take you through the starting grid for the very first race in the FIA Formula 4 Esports Regional Tour, European South region. The very first race as well. Alex Dunn, Marcus Luzio, they'll line up on the front row, while Andy Rattel and then Elliot Pugh in what is a very distinctive livery will share row number 2. Pedro Paquette and then Valentin Stew will share row 3, while back in 7th spot we'll see Steve Martin and then Jesse Dorgis on the outside of that row. Andrea Fresnetti and then Florian Copin will share row 5, while Carl Mitchell from Canada, again showing that it's more time zone than anything that differentiates the regions. And then Francesco Fioroni on the outside of row number 6. Hopefully not unlucky 13th for Mr. Y, while Ryan James Ward rolls alongside. Andre Martin and then Roberto Fee will be in 15th and 16th spot, with Andrea Di Natal and then Kevin Texier through the top 18 starting spots. Javier Soto, Christian Latanzonian, and then Georgi Dimitrov, Dylan Freckleton, Chan Gerharty will line up through the 23 names that get ready to rumble in just the top split of competition. As we mentioned earlier, Lorenzo, a great turnout, multiple splits getting ready to go.
Absolutely, and we're going to see a banger of a race where normally you would say Alex Dunn might be the favorite, you know, not just being GB3. The current leader, F4 British champion. The racing pedigree is there, but let's see how this race will pan out to be, because even though he's in first, he's not the clear favorite.
The other thing to remember is you say clear favorites, but 20 minutes, there's not much time, no matter where you qualified, to move forward or move back. Ready to go, though, as the lights begin to build and the Formula 4s rev their engines. The lights are out. We're underway at Monza. Dunn immediately tries to cover to the inside as the FIA Formula 4 Regional Esports Tour is underway. Here comes the charge to the inside by Luzio, who's going to be the bravest in towards that opening chicane. Late onto the brakes, 2 by 2 they will funnel. Couple of cars going 3 wide further back, but Luzio on the outside now of Alex Dunn will try and wrestle that Formula 4 through Curva Grande and take the lead into the second chicane.
What impressed me is even though they went 3 wide on De La Raja, everybody just got away unscathed. They were very clean at the start. Now the snaking forms in. Draft is going to take place, and let's see who's going to be courageous to make moves.
Oh, Andy Rattel almost went all the way to the inside, and now through that second chicane, Alex Dunn down to 3rd. Elliot Plouffe slid on through, and safely through. Somehow we scramble into the first of the Lesmo. Still the speed building up, the temperature in the tires coming up, and as we work our way towards Ascari, no cars starting to break away just yet.
No, and it's going to be hard for them to break away, especially with a car like this. If you want to make some ground, it has to be now where the tires still cold. If you're a master with the cold tires, this is where you you're going to blossom because you're going to be breaking away. And look at this gap, Arjuna. This is insanity.
This is what, 6th on back in towards Ascari, 2x2, almost behind, but single filed. Eventually they will get incredible respect being shown. All 23 cars are still pointed in a straight line, but now onto the grass. Frasnetti tries to squeak his way on through. The top 5 or 6 being allowed to break away.
Yeah, absolutely. Top 5 is already gone by more than a full second, Arjuna. That doesn't mean they're out of the woods just yet, but like I said, draft is king over here. If they keep sharing like that, as now Pew's going to go on the outside, try to go for the lead here, Arjuna. This is going to be important. Don't fight way too much, otherwise you're going to fall off the back.
Oh my goodness gracious me, where would you even want to look? Up towards the front or in the 3 wide situations? Almost 4 and 5 abreast in towards the opening corner once more. This is incredible stuff. This open wheel machine knows how to put on a show. One car takes avoiding action, but everyone else through turn 1 safely.
That looked like to be the old that actually had to go to the outside, but look at this insanity, Arjuna. Like, how can you keep your nerves like this as they go 3 wide nearly again into De La Roja right now?
Oh, I'm getting nervous for them. Surely they're going to start to calm things down at some point. It's still Pew that has the point. Andy Rattel almost gets squeezed off into the gravel. All this has really done is check up the field and bring them back into drafting range, but that's not calming them down one bit. Carl Mitchell trying to go defensive, and Martin tries to go on the offense.
Absolutely. Let's see what Martins is going to do on the outside. Lasmo does give you that outside room. As now comes Garrick. He usually, I've raced against with Sean before. Like, Sean actually is a very fast driver. He usually starts from the back, but whenever he gets pace, Arjuna, he climbs. And whenever he climbs, he's not afraid to be aggressive towards them.
And tried the squeeze there as well, and now able to slither on through. That was aggressive. That was assertive, though, importantly. All of the cars are still in a drafting queue. That's the thing to remember, Lorenzo. We are going to complete 2 minutes. We will have about 3.5 minutes burned off the clock. And there is so many more laps of this for us to hold on and for the drivers' nerves to be frayed.
No, absolutely, and this looks like a little bit of us watching through PES, right? You commentate with the Porsche Esports Super Cup. You know that draft is important right there. It's going to be over here as well. There's some parallels to be drawn, but look now at Dorgeest trying to make 3 wide, but I don't think he's going to be able to coming into the Rectificio chicane.
I don't think he wanted to either there. Backs out of it. Pew's going to be challenged. Luzio now on the outside again, but just giving a bit too much room. Around, spin, and that's Alex Dunn. Big drama. It takes a car up and over. That's Stu that's parked up on the roll hoop. It only takes 1 moment for madness to ensue.
Yeah, I really want to look on the replay what happened to Steele, but other than that, what just happened in the blink of an eye? That's what happens with that 4 whenever you start to get a little bit more aggressive and you want to, have to claw up the grid so fast. You are prone to make these mistakes, and mistakes in the open wheels, Arjuna better, just like I do. They're fatal. They're basically race enders.
Need to be very, very careful, like Lorenzo mentions, with that open nature of the wheels, just to not get hooked up and checked up as well. Continuing drama for a couple. Alex Dunn, not the only one in pit lane. Garrity, Frasnetti, Stio, who we saw up on the roll hoop, and Dunn as well. Elliot Pugh going to hold the inside defensive line on Luzio up towards Ascari. Dorgeest, Rattel, those are the 4 cars that run at the very front. Let's cycle back in time, though, and check out what happened into the very first chicane, because Alex Dunn, well, it started there.
Guy gets checked up, and then by going backwards, he hits Steel, and everything just piles up in between them. And unfortunately, that's not kind of the rush hour blockade you want to have at the exit of one of the chicanes.
No, definitely not. And we'll grab one more look at it on board with Garrity, and you'll just see the lack of reaction time that you really get in that situation. Like Lorenzo says, hello indeed. In towards the opening corner come the top 4 once again. Luzio and Pugh will once again be alongside. Dorgeest bumps Rattel. That was a little bit karting there, and now change of position for 3rd.
but still within the draft, that is really important for them. So even though Dorgi's done that, still 0.8 of a second on Lucio, so he can still ride that draft a little bit, you know, try to clip the top of the gear as they're going to go through the next chicane. But does Rattel fight back? And yeah, he does.
Back on through, we look rearwards from the number 1. That means highest I-rating driver in the session. 8,225. Lorenzo, I'm about 4,400 or so. I lost
I'm 3,400.
Okay, but I lost a little bit in the 15th anniversary celebrations last month. I can't imagine having 8,000 I-rating.
No, me either. If that ever happens, call iRacing, something is very wrong with the system.
He'll probably gain like 1 I-rating for winning this race. That's the remarkable thing about the system. It's all about getting people in equal races. Let's not forget, Dylan Freckleton's had to work his way from the very back. Almost up 11 positions, battling with Pedro Paquette. And now Freckleton loses the rear, but somehow saves it.
But not at the exit of Ascari, where you're going to see 1, 2, 3 wide just cutting across him. And what was 1 position became like 4 with the blink of an eye.
That was almost very, very good. Of course, we usually see Dylan a little bit more in bigger open wheel machines, sometimes on ovals as well. So definitely not someone that is a stranger to having to wrestle a car back under control. Back up towards the front. Luzio's this time going to have the inside through the second part of the chicane, but swap for the lead, and decisively so, as the top 2 have almost draft separation to 3rd and 4th.
Yeah, but it's still, you know, even though they are still side by side, 1.3 is nothing. We saw basically prior to that crash that done cause the El Raja chicane. If you go side by side, for example, even one of the chicanes, and you key and you go on the entry through the exit, still side by side, and the guys behind are not battling. They're just trying to catch you up. You can easily catch by 0.4 of a second if you do the corner cleaning. Look at them right now. Gap's already vanished just because they were battling.
You've got to be so calculated with how you make your moves. It's not just about the technique in driving here. It's about racecraft and using your head as well. Here's the look with Freckleton. There was a bit of contact, wasn't there? Just very slight, but chopping the nose. It's not a too wide corner, that is for sure. And now with Lucio tucked in behind once again, Lorenzo is correct. 4, once again, rejoined up towards the front, almost halfway through this race. Where do you want to be right now, Lorenzo? What do you want to be learning?
You want to be Dorgeast. You really want to be analyzing the other guys, but then I nearly cursed him. Arjuna, help me out.
Oh, does he have a slowdown now as well, or was that just the loss of momentum? Here comes Carl Mitchell, Steve Martin, Ryan James Ward as well. Going to be jinked to the inside by that number 12 with a doink already on the nose. Side by side and sliding on forward. It's now 3 running at the front.
And 4 became 3 now. There will be 3 fighting for top 5. Because I don't see Dorgeast breaking away unless like Martin and Mitchell have a different idea than I do. But this is a very compelling race. I'm liking what I'm seeing so far, and Rattel now analyzing both of the competitions, see what they're going to do.
Yeah, this is now where you want to be. Rattel in the spot to watch and try and figure out where to go. Be mindful of the 2-second buffer to those behind. That is, of course, the draft range that they're trying to keep well out of. Dorgeast, Mitchell, Martin, Ward, got to try and close up. They've got to be aggressive at this point, and maybe Rattel's going to do that as well as Pugh looks to the outside. Rattel tries to make it 3 abreast. Backs out of it, yes, but you can tell there's tension at the front.
There's some tension. I know Lucio and Rattel have karting experience, and here it goes. Now Pugh in the lead. Rattel fights through.
That was aggressive from Rattel to just take advantage of lost momentum. And now Lucio watches on as new race leader sliding on through at the second part of the Lesmos. Andy Rattel hits the front.
Yeah, nice exit now from Lucio. He's going to stand side by side, try to catch the side draft Arjuna. Will he make a move now on the next corner? Now Dorgeast joined the fray as well. Now, not just him, 3 more cars as well.
Suddenly, 7 in the mix, side by side in through Ascari. Pugh and Rattel give each other room, but now Rattel's going to lose out. Lucio with more momentum as they swarm down in towards the Parabolica. Rattel back in the draft. Dorgeast tucks out and tries to run his way on forward. It's going to be madness to the end.
Madness to the end, absolutely. And Norgis probably going to catch 2 positions depending on how he drives out of the Parabolica. But I don't think he's going to get that draft that he probably wants on the outside. Now you can see from Kyle Mitchell's perspective, this is going to be insanity. Like I said, there is no clear favorite from start to finish. It's going to be a nail biter from start to finish. And like I said, draft this game. But now all patience needs to be, setting up that move. I think that is what Ryan James Ward is doing right now.
Look at Pugh covering the inside as Luzio will work around the outside. Still very much a fight for second, you would say, as there Noah's Ark off the corner. All getting pretty good runs. Rattel slingshots back up to second, though. Dorgis challenged by Mitchell up the inside of Curva Grande.
Yeah, and he had his light skid towards the outside portion of the curve, so that's why he lost some momentum and allowed Mitchell to make that overtake. But still not out of the woods just yet, and you can see Martin and Steve, Ward and Martin try to come closer and closer because they're not battling. They're trying to, just share some draft and see if you can get closer because these guys up the front. They're throwing punches. They're not afraid to defend.
Yeah, you can see that even though it has broken up, it has not checked out by any means. There are pockets, but there are not huge gaps between any of those. Really inside of the top 10 right now. So what, 4.4 seconds back to the final car in that distinction. It's a great camera shot working down at the bottom of that run dip before Ascari, just rising up into the braking zone, carry that momentum on forward. One thing I guarantee, I don't want to be leading coming to the very final lap of this race.
No, neither do I. I would be hating.
Do you want to be second or third?
You know what? I was actually going to. I've been wanting to say this. I want to be third place. This looks like a little bit of Indianapolis.
Yes.
Where you want to be that third car, see what the guys in front are going to do. If they lose momentum, you can be basically the hunter and go 2 for 1 in just one single movement. But Monza is different. It's a road track instead of an oval track, so we'll see what's going to happen in about 6 minutes and 40 seconds.
So 6 minutes and 40 seconds means, what, 4 laps to go, 4 opportunities to work on forward. 2 by 2 into the corner. Rattel still holds. Luzio slots in front of Mitchell. And Dorgis almost gets caught out by Ryan James Ward as they peel off out of turn number 1. This is fascinating stuff. And I do wonder for Andy Rattel, after sitting back for so many laps, if he's got a pretty good sense for where he needs to position his car defensively to hold on here.
Yeah, especially if you're going to be leading. Leading over here is very hard, especially if you have not just 1 but 4 or 5 cars right behind you, just lurking in one of your position with the blink of an eye, with the slightest of movement. That's war. Something happened to Ward here, Arjuna. I don't know what happened to the number 9 car. Dropped me several spots back.
I'm going to assume outside tires off at the chicane, or maybe the opposite, being making the mistake earlier into the corner. Regardless, it means now once again 5 cars slightly checked up at the front. Here's a look at what happened, and just got crossed up all by his lonesome, and then did get the side tires into the gravel. That's a bizarre thing to see. Front of the field though, Rattel once again loses out at Ascari, not just to Pugh, but to Luzio as well.
Yeah, it might lose to Mitchell too. So yeah, 3 for 1, or 1 for 3 in that position rather. So let's see what the next lap's going to be. 3 to go, Arjuna. So still no decision just yet. Who do you pick over here, Arjuna?
I was just about to ask you for a prediction.
You know what? I've raced against Rattel, and he's really good at picking his spots towards the end, especially in these Nixie races. So I see Rattel winning, but how hard is it going to be as they go 4 wide?
Backing out of that one was Kyle Mitchell. No part of it. Andy Rattel, Elliott Pugh, last of the late breakers. The Brit slides on through. Andy Rattel with the karting experience holds on. Look at the train that is still running behind. You've got Ryan James Ward that's trying to build back up into the mix behind Roberto Frey, in front of Andre Martins, and of course now trying to make sure they stay in touch with those at the very front of the field. Got another car, by the way, carrying the British flag on the side of it, so it seems to be a popular choice through the field. But we seemingly have a sense for those that are willing to be aggressive, those that might be willing to back out more.
Yeah, absolutely. And what I like, and I think we haven't talked about this, into length is the respect they're giving each other. They're giving each other room. Is this aggressive? Yes, but I'm loving the aggressiveness, but also cleanness of the driver and the fairness they're giving each other. You know, this battling. Normally, people give so much flack on F4 and F3 because normally you see some aggressive driving out of the drivers right out of the gate, but the amount of respect they're giving, not just because maybe of their real life background or just by racing hard against them in official series prior to this, is what making this such a great race to watch.
Yeah, and again, the one incident that we had that saw cars head to pit lane was because Alex Dunn was slightly optimistic through the second part of the first chicane, and that caused a chain reaction. It was not multiple separate incidents. Final corner, coming to the last 2 laps to run. Pugh's going to slide on through, but feeding that draft at those behind. Luzio just funnels out wide, trying to get as much momentum as possible. But here we go. It's like being at Indianapolis, running down to the yard of bricks, but we're at the Temple of Speed, running off at the turn number 1. It's 3 abreast. Luzio on the inside, Pugh in the middle, Rattel with the longest distance to travel. Someone's got to back out here surely, but into the braking zone, Luzio takes the 2 for 1, grabs the lead, and exits the corner still in front.
Still in front, Rattel actually was very smart to bake that away. We see an incident at the back, Andrea Martins actually having some issues, Arjun. I think that would have been related to braking, but still the battle up in the front going very strong as Rattel trying to make that 3 wide. That's not going to work, Rattel.
He keeps trying to look to the inside, but it's too tight a corner. Look at the outside here for Pugh. Retakes the lead, but then runs himself too wide. Luzio's going to block off the momentum from Andy Rattel, who's going to slot back in. Luzio takes the point once again. It's chopping, it's changing. They're dicing like tomatoes. Who's going to be the one at the end, though? 1 more lap to go at the line. We don't think you want to be number 1. Could Rattel be in the perfect place to advance?
Yeah, absolutely. You know what I'm looking also over here? A possibility of, you know, of basically a finish, you know, photo finish. And I honestly thought that Luzio was not going to have the momentum coming to the parabolic. It's still side by side. Back to you, Arjuna.
Oh, Luzio's going to potentially lose out here to Rattel, who has a monster run built out onto that short run. 1 corner before the white flag's in hand. Look how many cars are still in the mix.
Let me count 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 cars, Arjuna. I'm counting at least 8 cars.
Oh, Andy Rattel almost cleared himself on the nose of Kyle Mitchell. Somehow they get through safely, and the white flag about to wave.
Oh my God, they're nearly running towards the safe barrier off the pit lane entry. And now Madness is going to soon, nearly 4 wide and nearly making contact.
The drone captures the 3 wide. Kyle Mitchell's joined the mix. The Canadian's going the long way around, but Andy Rattel's got the lead. Cycling out of the first chicane, it's 2 by 2, but for 3rd on back.
Yeah, this is either looking like Daytona 500, the last lap, whenever you're trying to make yourself as much ground as you can do in 1 singular lap, or Indianapolis, the final runs, but this is insanity, Arjuna.
Oh, look how defensive Rattel has to go. Mitchell got boxed out around the outside. Elliott Pugh bounces over the curb, takes Mitchell with him into the gravel. Luzio, Martin, Fioroni slide on through, but Andy Rattel has broken the draft, ducking through the Lesmos.
This is insanity. I knew that something was bound to happen, but not like this. At least everybody got away sort of unscathed, which, you know, boggles my mind a little bit. But Rattel might have been loving this low-key, and now he has nearly a full second and basically the whole track for himself.
It was 1 mistake, and look at the block to the wall. Was that a car getting disqualified? Elliott Pugh,
Pugh's out.
Fiorini, excuse me, they hit the disqualification limit. They instantly are done in this race. Running, though, into the final corner, Andy Rattel. No restrictions on the defense. Back and forth and trying to avoid the photo finish that Lorenzo Bonder was alluding to earlier. It's been a wild opening to this FIA Formula 4 Esports Regional Tour. Andy Rattel came in with the number 1. The mark on his back, and he'll outlast them all at the Temple of Speed to come out on top in the first of 12 competitive rounds.
What a race. What a race.
It's only 20 minutes long, but Lorenzo, I've near lost my voice.
My mind is nearly gone.
Oh, well, if this is what we're in for week on week on week, it's a good thing that we are going to have a couple of different commentators jumping into the commentary booth to potentially relieve the strain on the team. It was 1 second that effectively split 20 cars in qualifying. A bit more will split them at the end. Unfortunately for Elliott Pugh and for Fiorini, ended with the unfortunate disqualification, but a great example of why horsepower is not always required to put on a show, Lorenzo.
No, absolutely. And like I said, I love this car. Whenever it came out and I started driving it, the feel you had in this car is one of the best. It's like a driver's car. It reminded me when I was driving like the DR18, the F3s, the HPD, the old HPD, wherever. You need to feel the car to actually get to grips with it, and I love it. And that's why if you get to consistency with this car, it just gives you so much in a race like this.
And not every race is going to be like this either. We recognize that. Monza is the unique case, let's be real. And so heading off after this, expect it to potentially be a little bit different. These drivers, of course, make their way after this over to Imola. So draft's still going to be important, but maybe less so. Here's a look at the replay of the final couple of laps, and just the instant disappearing of Elliott Pugh is what we are about to see. But what happened before that?
Going side by side, I think Pugh just hit the curves way too aggressively into the corner and just shooting. I think that was Mitchell toward the outside, but I think that was now with Fiorini and Pugh going through under the ridge, and I think that was Pugh just being way too aggressive. We're gonna look now, Arjuna.
So, well, Pugh's getting blocked. To be fair, I mean, well, we can cycle back and jump on board with Ryan James Ward. And you'll just see, looks to the inside, and to be fair, gets ran into the wall. So I don't necessarily think Elliott Pugh does very much wrong there, but that's the iRacing automated race control.
Yeah, that's just racing stuff. We're not handling these things. It's iRacing, so if they got a problem with that, they send an email to iRacing race control, and they settle this out.
Let's grab a quick look at the race results. Andy Rattel ends up with a margin of victory over 3/10, but boy, was that a race that we thought you'd need to break the camera out at the very end. Steve Martin grabs a podium up 4 places, but Ryan James Ward, +10, grabs 4th. Jesse Dorgis in 5th was able to hold on despite a couple of slips on track, while Pedro Paquette and then Andre Martin round out the top 7. Roberto Fay, Carl Mitchell and Florian Copin round out your top 10. And only 12 and a bit seconds splitting them. Javier Soto, Mr. Y, and then Dylan Freckleton, Andrea De Natal, Christian Latanzio, Kevin Tixier, Andrea Fresnetti, Sean Gurty, Elliott Pugh, and then Francesco Fioroni round out the top 20. A couple of cars, unfortunately, not seeing the end, including victims of the only major incident in the early stages. Georgi Dimitrov, Alex Dunn, and Valentin Stio round out the 23 attempted starters here today. And so, as we get ready to bring things to a close, Lorenzo, I mean, we can grab a breath and relax just a little bit, but like we mentioned, we've got 4 regions, so plenty of racing for everyone to get stuck in. And next week, next Wednesday, we're heading to Americas. We're heading to the National Park of Speed, one of the best tracks, in my opinion, in the world.
Yeah, absolutely. I love Road America. I love the racing it gives. We can draw comparisons to Monza, can't we, Arjuna? Because, you know, draft is going to be important over here. No clear favorites, but of course, first place, because of the track length, you have more room to breathe depending on the corners that you're going to go. But nevertheless, you're not going to relax for 1 second with these cars. That's for sure.
You don't relax in any car, to be fair, when you're driving at Road America. It's old school in its nature. Let's not forget it's not really changed in its configuration, so it's retained the old school nature, grass, unforgiving. And of course, that's why it's so beloved, I feel, to so many. Here's a look again, just a reminder, 4 different regions, and as we saw today, it's not just about locking people into racing in their region. It's about giving people specific times that they know they can find good racing, and boy, do we see some of that today. 6 time slots a week still means there are 6 different races, Lorenzo, that if you're crazy enough that you could do just in your region alone. If you're crazy enough you wanted to do all of them, well, take your pick. There's 24 of these FIA Formula 4 Esports Regional Tour races every single week.
I really want to see if someone is going to try to go for every single time slot in every single region in every single week. So do that for the whole 12-week calendar. If someone actually does do that, let me know. I will give you a medal.
Yes, no, if anyone even does that for 1 week, let us know, because, boy, that is dedication to another level, wouldn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. I wouldn't be able to do it. I'm like, just do 1 time slot, and that's it. I'm done for the week.
So as we get ready to say goodbye, boy, is it with excitement that we look forward to what we think is going to be plenty more exciting racing here to come on RaceSpotTV. You can catch us expected to be every Wednesday with another regional series in this FIA Formula 4 Esports Regional Tour. Next week, it's a trip across the pond over to America's National Park of Speed, to where it is going to be exciting to see if someone can break the draft, if someone can use the natural roller coaster that is Road America to their advantage to run away with the victory. So much racing to come, and it's going to be all here live on RaceSpotTV. For Lorenzo Bonder, alongside myself, Arjuna Kankipati, thank you so much for joining us today in the start of a new era of iRacing Formula 4 competition. The open wheelers know how to put on a show. We found out that today at Monza.